in Selenium, if you have a different driver class for every browser, like we have got Firefox driver for Firefox, Chrome and IE, the question which arises is that what if I want to test my website across different browsers? Right, will I create the object of Firefox driver separately for working with Firefox and then Chrome driver separately for working with Chrome and for IE separately? Okay, right. Will I be doing that? Fine. So, what is the solution to this problem? The solution to this problem comes up from the concept of interfaces. Alright, now what is an interface? Let's study that. Interfaces are a very important component of object-oriented programming. Right. Look, what happens is that suppose I'll just give you a generic example. Suppose if you go to any restaurant to have your lunch or dinner and you order something, right? So what you need to do is that you need when you look at the menu, you decide. Okay, right? And when you decide and when you look at the menu, that menu is like an interface to you. It gives you a clear idea that what the restaurant is actually offering and uh, what you can have, but you will actually not know that how delicious or how good that dish would be, right, which you are going to order. Okay, so interface is something which gives you, right, which gives you an idea what the system is supposed to do. All right, fine. So for example, if you go to my website, if you go to my website, that is, hold on, qtp selenium.com, right, this website is like an interface. It tells you that what the system is all about, okay, what we offer, but how good our training would be, whether the training is for you or not, okay, you cannot judge from it. So an interface is something which tells you briefly about the system. So similarly in Java we have interfaces. Okay, right. For example, I'll just create a new, first of all let me create a new project over here. Call it day 2. Okay, in this project under the source folder I'll add a new class, or I'll add a new, right click on the source folder, new interface. Okay, and I will call that interface as, say, just a minute, for example, what should I call it? Okay, let's make a very simple interface, animal. Okay, right. Now an interface is something which just tells you what the system is about. Okay, right. So in the interface we just have the function bodies. For example, we'll write public void, say, walk. Public void eat. You have just the function declarations inside the interface. Right. So out here you don't have the bodies. Looking at the interface, you can just come to know that what the system is all about. Animal will walk, animal can eat. Now suppose I create a new class over here named as say cat. Now cat is an animal, right? Okay, cat, it's not it's not necessary that I write the functions over here. What we do is that in Java we write like this: public class cat. Why do we write like this? You'll come to know. You just hold on. Implements animal interface. When I say that the class is implementing an interface, it becomes mandatory for class to implement all the functions of the interface. Okay, if this is animal interface, it's got two functions, then cat class should give the bodies to do both the functions. You move the mouse over the error and you will get the option add unimplemented methods. Select that. Both the functions will be added with the bodies. At the rate override, this is, hold on, what is the, okay, at the rate override, this is just known as an annotation. Okay, this is one annotation. Okay, this means that the function is actually coming up from the animal interface. It is not necessary that you have to write this. You can just remove this as well, but looking at it just tells you that fine, this is coming up from the animal interface, and inside this you can just print cat walking and cat eating. Fine, just look at this thing. The animal was an interface. It's got two functions. The functions have got no bodies. Okay, the class cat is implementing the animal interface, so the class cat has to implement both the functions and give them bodies. Now similarly,
So, sorry, Ashish. What do we mean by the function don't have bodies? So I don't get the acknowledgement for the bodies.
pardon, I couldn't understand you. Can you repeat?
Yeah, Ashish, you mentioned about, for example, an animal class.
Animal is
There
an
are two
interface, it's not a class.
interface. They have two functions: walk and eat, but they don't have bodies. So I didn't get the last one. What do you mean a body here?
We have just declared them. I've ended up with a semicolon. There is nothing
Okay,
inside these functions.
right. Because you just referenced with body, so I just got confused.
Or
Okay,
body
nothing else.
means that this is the function body. Okay,
Okay.
right?
Okay, right, Ashish. Thank you.
Yeah. So, guys, I'm a little slow today. Actually, I've got fever. I don't know. I got fever today. Okay, I'm sorry for that. So, are they yet to be defined? There is something known as declaration, and there is something known as defining the function. I have declared the function over here. This is known as declare. That this is the function. But out here, right. uh, Out here you will have to create a new class known as for example, I create a new class dog. Now if I have said that I have declared the function over here, then I am going to define it in the dog class. Dog class will also implement the animal interface, right? Okay, and you will have to implement all the functions in the dog class from the animal. So this is known as defining the function. Inside the function you can put some code. Okay, right, right. I Guys, just 1 minute. Fine. There is a question being asked. Can we declare and define methods in a Y interface?
Ashish, sorry, I think your screen got blurred now.
Pardon?
Your screen got blurred now, like yesterday.
Okay, I think whenever I pause my screen, this happens. Okay. I got the problem. This is something in Zoom meetings. If I pause my screen, it gets. I'm going to share my screen again. There was some issue. Uh, is my screen visible fine? There was some issue with the screen. This is fine, right? Is my screen okay now? I actually um, I had some issue in my PC. My screen is fine, right?
Yeah, screen looks good.
Yeah. Okay. So now out here, this particular class will have two functions, walk and eat, because the dog class is implementing the interface animal. So in a nutshell, what I told you that we made an interface in Java. I'm trying to tell you, I'll just tell you in brief again. I'm trying to tell you what interfaces are. Okay, interface is something which is incomplete. Inside an interface, we just declare something that this is the animal interface, we have the walk and we have the eat functions. Okay, right. And then you have this cat class which implements the animal interface, and you have this dog class which is also implementing the animal interface. If you implement an interface, it becomes mandatory for you to implement both the functions of the interface. For example, this is the dog class. I'll have to implement both of them. I can print inside it dog walk, and out here I can write. Sachin, I have not created the batch ID as of now. We don't give the batch ID in the trial classes. Okay. When I'll create the batch ID, you'll get the email. So over here, dog eating. Okay. So you have got two functions, walk and eat. Alright. And both the functions have been implemented. Alright. Now, what is the use of this stuff which I have just done? What I did, I'll explain you with the diagram. Okay, this is yesterday's diagram. I made one interface and I made two classes. The interface had two functions, walk and eat, and the two classes, dog and cat, had the same functions implemented. Okay, walk and eat, walk and eat. Alright, fine. So what I will do is that I will implement both these two classes. What I have done, these two classes are implementing both the classes are implementing the animal interface. So they both have the same set of functions. What is the use of doing so? I could have never made the interface. I could have never made the interface. Whatever functions were there in the interface are there in the classes. Okay, right. And what what did I gain out of it? I could have simply made the classes. I could have never made the interface. Okay, right. The advantage which I get from this thing is that, hold on Raghav, I'll come down to your question. Just hold on. The advantage to this whole thing is that this gives a structure to your application. Okay. If tomorrow, okay, if tomorrow a new class comes up, say a new class comes up over here known as say cow, then this class will also have the same structure. It will implement the animal interface and it will have both the functions inside it, like walk and eat. Alright, fine. You got my point, right? Okay. So I don't have to worry that if I am actually going ahead and making more and more classes, what kind of functions will be there inside it. All the classes which implement an interface have the same set of functions. And that's what I told you yesterday. Okay, yesterday I had talked about different drivers. I told you about drivers in Selenium, that there is Firefox driver, Chrome driver and iDriver. Sachin, just hold on. Let me check it out after the class. I'm not sure what the issue is. Just hold on. Okay, right? We'll give you the recordings after the class. Hold on. So out here, uh, we had done yesterday that there are three driver classes: Firefox driver, Chrome driver, iDriver. Right. Now, if you look at the documentation of Selenium, the official documentation of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org. Okay. And if you go to the download section inside it, right, you go to the documentation, then in the documentation, these are all the classes in Selenium, as I had told you yesterday as well. In these all classes, whatever is written in italics is actually an interface. Okay, for example, I always give this example. For example, you have this mouse. It's the interface mouse. And it's got the functions corresponding to the mouse. Click, context click, double click, mouse move, mouse down, and all that stuff. Right. Okay. So the implementing classes are event firing mouse and remote mouse. So both these classes will have same set of functions in them. Only thing is that the implementation will differ. Okay, right, fine. Now similarly, if you scroll down, everybody has heard about the word WebDriver. If you scroll down, you will see the word WebDriver, right? WebDriver is an interface. Technically, WebDriver is an interface. Okay, it's got functions. I'll talk about them, but these are the implementing classes. Okay, these are the implementing classes. Chrome driver, Edge driver, all the classes which we talked yesterday. So that means that all these classes, the implementing classes, will have the same set of functions. That means that whether you use Firefox driver or whether you use Chrome driver or whether you use iDriver, all the driver classes will have the same set of functions. When you create the object of a Firefox driver and if you write fd dot, you get functions. These functions will have the same name as these and as these in I. Is there any, Raghav, I'll answer a question just a minute. Is there anybody else, like, is there anybody having any questions? Please tell me now, this is very important. This is very important.
Ashish, I have one question here. I'm Sandeep.
Yeah.
Uh, so you can implement only one class, or you can implement more than one class.
Um, you can implement one class. Okay.
Okay, and if I'm implementing to the class, I'm using the functions which has been defined in the interface, right?
Yes. Yes.
And how different is the extents when it comes to implement?
I will tell you. Extends. Just don't think about that right now. Okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you. Just keep yourself focused right now on implements. There is an interface,
Okay.
and a class can implement an interface. A class can only implement one interface. For example, if you go to the documentation, if you look at the class Chrome driver is implementing the WebDriver interface. So if you look at this driver, it will simply say that class Chrome driver and a WebDriver implementation. Okay, right? And I'm sorry, there is one mistake which I have done. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong info. I'm sorry. I was thinking about C sharp. Okay, I also know C sharp. I'm really sorry. A class can implement any number of fun. Okay, a class can implement any number of interfaces. Alright, I'm sorry. Okay, this was my mistake. You can implement animal, comma, x, comma, y, any number of interfaces you can implement. My mind was somewhere else. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking about C sharp or something. Now let me ask you, let me tell you about few questions, right? No, not exactly, Kishore. There is something else I was thinking about. Okay, right. So here the class is okay. There is one question being asked. Hold on, let me open a notepad. Right. This is the question being asked. So here the class is implementing a method as an interface, right? So can a class implement another class so that no, class can implement an interface. First of all, look at the technical jargon, understand it clearly, right? that a class has to implement a function, sorry, an interface, and when it implements an interface, it has to implement all the functions in the interface. Okay, right. Now there's another question being asked. Really sorry. Yeah. If WebDriver is an interface, then Firefox driver is the class or as an interface? If Firefox is a class, then how we are initiating the object? Hold on. I think Saru, you're getting confused. Right. Over here, if you look at the documentation, then in the documentation, WebDriver is an interface. These are the implementing classes. WebDriver is like animal, Chrome driver, Edge driver, and Firefox. All these classes are like cow, cat classes which I had created. So all the functions in the WebDriver interface. For example, WebDriver interface says that there is a function close, which will close the browser. Right. There are other functions like if you look at bottom, you will see a function find element, which will go find an element on the page. Get will load a new web page. So all these functions in the WebDriver interface will be there in all the driver classes. So you don't have to worry. You don't create the object of an interface. You will create the object of the driver classes. All the driver classes, Firefox driver, iDriver, Chrome driver, okay, all these driver classes, right, will have they will have same set of functions. Okay, right. Now let me tell you practically. I'll just create a new class known as test. Right. And first of all, there's a question being asked. Can you create another interface and show us implement with animal? Yeah, it's pretty simple. You can create an interface known as say XYZ, any interface. I create a function inside it, public void ABC. Okay, this is the interface. Oh, sorry, interface has to be declared, right? So if I write in my class, say cat class is implementing animal interface and XYZ. So you will have to implement the function ABC inside it mandatorily. Functions cannot be created in interfaces. Saru, I am coming over to it. Just be with me. Don't think ahead right now. Understand what I am telling you. Can we create main function inside interface? Inside interface, there are no functions. Inside an interface, you just have the function declarations. That's it. Right? Okay. Is interface a class too? No, interface is not a class. We have written public interface animal. Okay. Right. Classes implement the interface. Public class cat is implementing the interface. Okay. Right. You cannot do that. The question being asked is that suppose in my animal interface I have got two functions and I just want to implement one. You cannot do that. It is mandatory for you to implement all the functions in the interface. You can, yes, Madhuri, you can have that. Yes, they though in interface you just declare, in interface you just declare the functions, you never give them bodies. In implementing classes you give them bodies. Okay, right. Your questions will be answered. I know there will be a lot of doubts. Right now, at this moment, understand simple thing that you can have an interface. You can just declare the methods in the interface. You don't have to give the bodies. A class can implement the interface and it is mandatory to implement all the functions of the interface. Okay, right? Now, moving ahead. Moving ahead, if I create a class test, if I create the object of animal in this, animal is an interface, you will get an error. Okay, because you cannot create the object of interface. Interface is incomplete. Interface just tells you what the system will do. You cannot create the object of an interface. Yes, Purnima, WebDriver is an interface and other driver classes they implement the interface. WebDriver is like animal class. It's got the functions and other driver classes they implement the interface. And you cannot create the object of an interface. It is invalid. I cannot write animal A equals to. You can create the reference. It will not give you the error in reference. But you cannot create the object. However, you can create the object of implementing classes. I can write cat c equals to new cat. I can write dog d equals to new dog. Okay, I can call the functions. On cat, I'll call the function eat and walk. On dog, I can call the function eat and walk. The function names they remain the same. Only thing is, out here the cat object reference is calling and out here dog object reference. So the functions of cat and dog classes will be called. If I run this code, you will see the output like this. Cat eating, cat walking, because this will call the eat and walk function inside the cat class. I can also call ABC function. That is not a problem. Okay. And this is calling the eat and walk from the dog class. The function names are same but the implementation varies. Right? Anybody with any questions? Right. Now, if I go to my say cat class or even dog class and I make a new function public void bark. So this is a function which is not coming from the animal interface. Okay, it is coming up from the it is not coming from animal, it is coming up from the class itself. Okay, it is the property of the class. Inside it I can write dog path. Now if I go to my test class, I can call that function d.bark. So this bark function is proprietary to the dog class. When I run it, it will print dog bark. It is pretty simple and pretty straight. Similarly, we had this class yesterday, Selenium Basics. I told you, you create the object of Firefox, you create the object of Chrome and IE. See, the get function is common. It is coming from the WebDriver interface. All the classes, they implement the WebDriver interface. So get function, the name is same, but the class which is calling, the object which is calling it is different. Poonam, I am coming down to this line. Hold on. Okay. You cannot write this line first of all, Poonam. You cannot write this line. WebDriver driver equals to new WebDriver. This is illegal. Okay. Because WebDriver is an interface. You cannot create the object of an interface. As I told you right now, you cannot create the object of animal. Animal is an interface. Similarly, you cannot create the object of WebDriver like this. However, you can create the objects of implementing classes. Right? So all these implementing classes will have the same functions. Now, suppose I want to write a script which goes to yahoo.com and dynamically I have to change my browser. Right. Suppose I create a new class and I call it, say, launch browser. Right. So what does this means that? Hold on. Public class launch browser. It will have the main function. Now I have to write a code which dynamically opens the browser. Let me comment this line. Suppose I will declare my browser here. If my browser is Mozilla, if this parameter browser is right, string browser is Mozilla, and if I write the code here, then the code should work on Mozilla. So what do you think I should do? Can anybody suggest me? What kind of code should I write? How do I write the code? Can anybody suggest me? Let me include the drivers for the jars files for Selenium. There are jar files for Selenium over here. Let me include them. So the general solution people have, you write if else statement, that if the browser is equal to Mozilla, then you do the testing on Mozilla. Else, if the browser is Chrome, you're getting my point, right? and else if browser is I, then you do the respective things. Then what generally we can do, we can write this code over here for Mozilla, for Chrome I, you can write over here. Okay, right. Do you think it's a good solution? What do you think? Do you think if it's a good solution? Will this work?
I don't think it works because how the system will know what do you mean by Mozilla?
If no, if I change it to Chrome, then obviously if I run it, the Chrome browser will open. It will take me to yahoo.com. If I'm running the code,
But how system knows it's a Chrome? Like how it link it?
hold on. See, the Chrome is opened. It's going to yahoo.com. So what happens is that when the browser is Chrome, it will go inside this else block. It will check if the browser is Chrome, it will run this code. But Akash will do that, not right now, we'll do that. But if you have to write the further code, for example, if you have to click on the link, will you write separate code to click on the link over here, then a separate code for clicking, and then separate code for clicking out here? Okay. Yeah, there are few questions being asked. There will be different, no, there will be different. No. Hold on, Saru, I'm coming over to it. Hold on. So you cannot write code separately for every browser. Okay, the problem which I'm getting is the handle. When I'm using Firefox driver, I'm using the reference of Firefox driver and I have to fire the functions on that. When the browser is Chrome, I have to create the object of Chrome driver and I have to use the CD object and fire the functions on that.
Maybe you can call a parameter and work for all browsers, Firefox, Chrome, and Yahoo or something like that.
You can try it out. So
Yeah,
the answer to this problem, I'll tell you, there is no answer. The answer to this problem again comes up from the concept of interfaces. Okay, right, now let us go back to the concept of interfaces. I created the animal interface, and this animal interface was being extended by not extended, sorry, it was being implemented by cat as well as dog. So both the classes had the same functions, and over here we had created the objects. Now I am going to do a little different thing, which will be little different. We had been creating objects like this: dog D equals to new dog, cat C equals to new cat. Now I'll create the object like this: animal A equals to new dog. So what I have done, the reference is of the animal interface and the object is of the class which has implemented the interface. Okay, right? Okay, Raghav is saying please repeat. So I've created the object like this. The reference is of the animal interface and the object is of the class implementing the interface. Dog class is implementing the animal interface, right? Okay, so you can, all right, so okay, hold on, there are a few questions. Purnima, I'm coming over to it. Yes, please tell how memory is going to work. It's the same thing. It's nothing different. The object of the dog class will be created, the reference would be of the animal class A. Okay, but the only difference is, what is the difference in creating the object like this and this? On line number 8 I had written dog D, the reference of the dog class equated to the object of the dog class. Over here I have kept the reference of the interface equated to the class which is implementing the interface. If I write a dot, you get the functions eat, a dot, walk. You get access to, okay, you get access to both the functions eat and walk, but you cannot access the function bark. When you are creating the object like this, you can only access the functions in the dog class which are coming from the animal interface, not the proprietary. Okay, not the proprietary functions of the interface. For example, bark was the proprietary function, you cannot access it. Only the functions which are coming from the interface. So if I run it, it will print dog eating, dog walking. Okay, right, fine. So what is the advantage of this? Why do I have to create the object like this? Right, that's what I'm coming over to, Madhuri. Look, I can also write on the next line, I can make, this is the interface reference, I'm pointing it to the dog class. I can also make it point towards the cat class. Okay, when I run this, it will print cat eating, cat walking, because the reference is now pointing to cat class. On the next line, it is my wish, I can make again point A to the new object of dog class. And when I fire both the functions a dot eat and a dot walk, and when you run this, this will fire the functions from the dog class. So over here I equate a to the object of cat, and over here I equate it to the object of dog, and I call the same eat and walk. The functions from different classes are being called.
So that means we can access now the bar class as well.
No,
The bark function.
No,
No?
because A is always from the animal interface reference.
Right.
If you write the interface reference equals to the class implementing, you cannot access that function.
Okay. So it's still part of the interface now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the good thing is, suppose I write over here animal x equals to null. That means x reference of the animal interface is not pointing anywhere. Okay. Right. So based on my choice, I can make x point towards new cat, or I can make x point towards new dog. Okay. Right. So how does this help us? Earlier, when we had been working in Selenium, we had created objects like this. Just 1 minute. Let me declare my driver exes in the very beginning. I had created the objects like these. Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver. Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. Now, what I can do is that I can simply write Webdriver equals to new Firefox driver. Webdriver is the interface and Firefox driver is the class implementing the interface. It is similar to animal A equals to new cat. Animal was an interface, WebDriver is an interface. Cat is a class, WebDriver is a class. If I want, on the next line, I can make driver point towards new Chrome driver or iDriver. The reference, the handle remains the same. Like over here, X was the reference, it was the handle. It is remaining same. It can point towards any object. So this is the advantage. Because I can declare my WebDriver equals to null, and based on the driver I want to work on, I can equate this. I can make driver point towards Firefox driver, or I can make driver point towards Chrome driver. So the launch browser class which I declared over here, in which the browser was Chrome. Okay, I don't need to write all these things. Okay, what I will do is that I will simply write WebDriver driver reference equals to null, and based on my choice, there's a question being asked. Yeah, all browsers will open simultaneously. In the earlier example over here, both Firefox, Chrome browser, first Firefox will open, then Chrome will open. But if you come back to this launch browser.java, I can declare my WebDriver null, and based on my choice, I can make driver point towards any of them, any of the browsers. So now the browser is Chrome. So when I run the code, a blank Chrome will open up. Okay. If I change the browser to Mozilla and run the code, you will see that a blank Firefox browser opens. Now once the browser is opened, you have the driver initialized. You can manage the browser. You can write over here driver dot. The functions are same. The functions are same in all the driver classes. Okay, you have the handle equating to iDriver, Chrome driver or Firefox driver. You can write driver.get. Go to the website http yahoo.com. Print the title of the page. Driver.get title command will give you the title of the page. So you can dynamically launch a browser. This is very important. We'll do this in the frameworks as well. Right? Okay. I hope you got my point. Right? So now, okay. Now what we'll do is